Thank you so much. Thank you so much for advising me. It's a very good thing that I came on and checked out on my sound. Okay, so welcome to Tuesday Talks at 3. This is a platform where we help you get unstuck and onto your true potential. Today is an amazing day as we are talking about employee well-being. And the question is, what is your preferred pillar? What is your preferred pillar when we are talking about employee well-being? I just read out a few pillars for you, and I'll just go through them again. We've got the well-being of work environment. So there's a work environment, and we covered this in our first week where we chatted at length about corporate culture. And the second week, we talked about the interview and the exit process. And then we've got job security, which we're talking about today. And we've got health, and we've got financial security, we've got physical protection. How then are you taken care of specifically when you're at work? And then there's work-life balance. As you can see, employee well-being is holistic. I'm actually just getting a feed here that we do have Charity in the room. It seems that I have lost her once again, but we'll keep on hoping that she can join us. Okay, thank you so much, Kavi. Thank you so much, Sheila. Kathy Fulton, great to see you here. All right, so jumping on to the topic, what is it for you? Of those different pillars, what does it for you when it comes to employee well-being? I would love for you to share with us here on our chat. And Sheila now says that I am loud and clear. Great, so as we are speaking about employee well-being, what are the things that come to mind? The things for me that come to mind, and I can give you my own personal experience, is that when I am working, I want to know that my job is secure. I want to be able to know that what we discussed in the beginning, which is my interview process, which we covered last week with Angela Mwendarani, that I have asked those questions about what is the workplace like, what are my duties and responsibilities. Now you see, once you have it on the table and you have been able to say what you're looking for, you come from a point of understanding what you're going into from the onset. So wherever it is that I have worked, I have been very categorical in going through the duties and understanding what it means. And wherever it is that I have felt I needed to ask a question or clarity, I did so. So my advice when it comes to job security is just to ensure that in advance, you get a list of what is expected of you, your responsibilities, your duties, the tasks. If there's anything there that is not clear, that you cover it before the interview as you prepare your questions for the interview. So the question again today is, what is your pillar? Because the various areas that we have covered are very easy for you to overlook when it comes to employee well-being. So apart from job security, there's the work environment. Apart from the work environment, you could be looking at things of physical safety. How is the physical safety going? I know you want me to jump straight into the financial security, because that falls under corporate culture also. How much are you getting paid for it? What kind of benefits are you getting from it? And then we've got the physical protection. When I go to work, how am I physically protected? So it's very reassuring to see that the security system at the entrance, if there's a parking lot, there's the security cameras going on in the specific building. There's identity points where you go in and either your touch padding or your name is registered, and whichever guests are coming in to visit. This is actually the physical protection that you are getting in the office. Apart from that, also, are there first aid kits around you? Is there fire extinguishers around you? What are those things that you can go back to and say, I feel safe in this space? And then we've got the work-life balance. And when we look at the work-life balance, at times, this debate has gone on for a long time, where it is said, how can you be working and having a life at the same time? Well, you can. And when we start off in our first topic, which is health, we will see how this is something of importance, that work-life balance is important, and you need to intentionally set out for this. So I'm looking at the chat here, and I'm not seeing any questions right now or any contributions towards job security being a key component to employee well-being. And neither am I seeing any comments on your preferred one, the one that resonates with you. And whether you ask about it during an interview, or maybe I should change that question and ask, is it important that this is incorporated into your interview? So now we just jump straight on to one of the pillars, which is health. So what is it about health that in today's world is really being spoken about? This is the mental wellness. Mental wellness is a very important topic today. And last month, we talked about mental wellness versus self-awareness. And in that way, we were trying to understand, are you aware of yourself so that you can have a healthy mental wellness? Because you can actually come and break down into areas of depression, of stress, if you did not know what the triggers were. So the first thing that my guest took us through was the personal appreciation, knowing who you are, knowing your environment, knowing whether you are in charge or in control of that environment is very important. Knowing that when you step out, this is who you want to show up as. He then went on to take us through areas where we may find conflict. And one of them that we're looking at is conflict resolution. That we may come into a workplace and find that not everybody agrees with you. This is what happens. It is life. Not everybody has to agree with you. Not everybody has got to like you. But what kind of tools do you have at your disposal to ensure that in such a situation, you are able to come out on top? So one of them was how to handle these conflicts or this feedback. And the one that I loved most that he took us through, in fact, his name is Simon Lushemo. He took us through how to bring out the core peace, how to bring out the core peace. So when we're talking about mental wellness, it is what is going on in your mind. Are you coming from a place of understanding who you are and knowing what it is that you want to go for? And therefore, whatever it is that you face, your mind is at peace. And that at that point, the behavior that you are going to manifest out of you is as a direct place of where it's coming from. So in your place of work, when we are talking about mental health, what are the areas that you need to be looking at? You need to be totally aware of certain areas like stress management. What is your coping mechanism for stress management? Because if you are struggling with stress management, then already your productivity is going to be compromised. Remember, we talked about employee well-being being holistic and that it contributes to the productivity. And not only that, if it is your productivity, then it is the productivity of the company. So if you're here as a company owner, you want to ensure that your employees' well-being is one of the number one things that you want to handle. So stress is real and it happens in all our lives. Every moment is a stressful moment, but it's a coping mechanism that works. So how are you able as an organization to get ahead of this and mitigate this stress management? You have your human resources department that would be able to manage this by bringing in people who can speak to your staff. Whether you just have one member of staff or you've got a whole team of people, you want to be able to expose them to coaches like me, to mentors, to trainers, to professionals in the industry, so that they are able to manage their stress levels. Because stress is just that feeling of losing control of a situation where you're no longer sure of how things are going to progress from A to B up to Z. You had it so well planned and suddenly it's out of control. That is stress. So how are you going to manage that? So as an employee, you need to understand yourself, as we did last month, and understand what your triggers are. Whether your coping mechanism is going to be about sharing with your team the do's and the don'ts around you, however it works for you, you need to have that conversation. And we'll be looking at those kind of relationships when we come to another pillar towards the end of our session today. Conflict resolution is another thing that can affect your mental health. If you're coming into a situation where there's always conflict and there's no way out, it is said that we should spend 95% of our time on the problem and 5% on the solution. But if finding that 95% is more about conflict, it's not about discussion and dialogue so that we can arrive at the solution, then we need to manage that. And at your place of work, you have every right to ask for those safe places where you can have these conversations. Then we've got other areas like employee assistance programs that can help us when it comes to conflict resolution and come to stress management. And now I'm looking at the chat and I'm saying, Mushko, thank you so much for joining us. Mushko, you say sometimes mental health is interpreted as weakness in the office or not being in a position to fully undertake a task. I know there's been lots of campaign on this, but it is still largely surrounded by stigma. Thank you so much for sharing, Mushko. And yes, a lot of stigma is around it. However, though there is stigma, you yourself, you know what the challenges are. You're able to understand where you're coming from with what it is that is affecting you. You want to be able to set up some kind of, how do I say, some kind of tools. So whether you are an employee or an employer, there needs to be some sort of awareness that is going on. And when we have this awareness going on, it helps us a lot to be able to mitigate what is happening. So in this case, when we are looking at it as a weakness, what is the sensitization that we are doing for one another? Telling our stories. So Mushko, we need to be telling stories. And when one person tells their story, it snowballs. And we end up having more people saying, you know, I feel the same way. I want to talk about this. Occasionally, I have remembered that in my workplaces, there were TVs that were around. And perhaps the human resources department would want to put up something on health awareness, and that is mental health awareness. Perhaps during the break time, the tea breaks, you're going into this room where there's a microwave, there's a coffee making machine, or it's a staff area where people congregate to just take 5 minutes, or it's an employee changing room, just an area where it's only for employees. That is an opportunity that perhaps we could use to sensitize the staff. And we would have people then coming in and telling their true stories. Maybe the stigma is going to affect the members of staff, so they may not be able to tell their story. But if we as employers could invite people, we outsource this particular service for people to come in and tell us their story and take questions. I tell you, this is very liberating when you know that somebody else is going through what you're going through, or you can speak to somebody who is going through what somebody you know is going through at home. Because if you're coming from a place at home where there's mental issues and you're supposed to have productivity in the place of work, it becomes a challenge. It becomes a challenge. Thank you so much for sharing that. And we need to change that narrative from it being a weakness, and we call it as it is. This is the health wellness that we're looking at, and it's coming from mental. Mental wellness is something that we cannot see. Physical health is something that we see. We can see how somebody's body is, how they're acting, and we can say that is attributed to physical, but mental, half of the time we don't know. I could be here on the screen right now and I could be experiencing mental issues, but you wouldn't know unless I spoke of them. I could be in the closet with it, and therefore let us speak about it. Sheila says, we do need to have more mentors so that values, work ethic, and healthy work rest can be shared. This is very true. We need to be able to have more mentors. However, Sheila, much as I agree with you, then those of us who feel that we can be mentors need to step up. We need to step up because in this time of the pandemic, that we have been cooped up in these small closed spaces, that we have had to rethink our total existence, that we are coming from a place of fear. It has really shaken the foundation of the human race. We are all coming from different places now, and any help that we can get is most welcome. So if you're out there and you feel that you are strong enough to be a mentor for somebody, step up, offer it. Nowadays, social media has really gone crazy since the pandemic. Put yourself out there. And yes, there will be haters, guys. There will be those people who come and ask, so who is Lucy and why does she think she can be a mentor? You want to step out because your vision, your purpose is very compelling. It's very real. You're out there to help others. I'm here. I'm on this screen. And as you've heard in my introduction, I help you get unstuck through helping you to unlock your limiting beliefs. And it's not because I am a professional in that or that I have any qualifications other than life. So I chose to be present for the world on this platform, an opportunity that was given to me during the pandemic. So I use my experiences and I have platforms like this. So Sheila, yes, we do need mentors. And whoever is out there who feels that they have something to share, go out there and share. You'll be amazed how you will feel fulfilled. Let us see, Mushko, yes, Mushko, you say, thanks, Lucy. I love the point about telling one story, perhaps one way to debunk this. Very true, Mushko. Telling your story. In fact, telling your story, you are also healing and you are able to find deeper solutions. And you are able to come to terms where you are at that point in that season and speak from that point. And once you do that, you end up attracting all this positive energy around you, and people will be attracted to you, not only because you are speaking from a point of information, but because people want to share now their story with you. What an amazing way to put it, Mushko. Thank you. Kavi, you come out and you say that acceptance means a win-win for all. Yes, Kavi, acceptance is a win-win for all. Once we call it as it is, and we know that we are having issues of mental illness, and we're able to define it. And once we define it and it resonates with us, I mean, how do I say? The way that we are made up as human beings is very different from one another, but there are certain aspects that affect all of us. So to the extent that I will be affected by my mental wellness will be very different from you. So what is it for me? I need to be able to come to terms with that. And that is where my guest before had talked about that personal knowledge of self, the personal awareness. These are my triggers, and this is my coping mechanism. And therefore, when we begin to share this, especially in an environment where it is a work environment, you're not alone, already we begin to see the evolvement, and we're able to only get better. So that is on health. And I would have loved to see more on health, because this is a topic that has really been spoken about today worldwide. And much as it can be a very contentious topic, now more than ever, it is coming to the fore. Before, when there were health issues, you would always hear that there was a mental health institution that took you in. But today we don't want to wait for that moment. Today we want to share our stories, and therefore we can tell what the triggers are, and we can help each other to manage our health. So I promised you that we're going to move on to a section where we can look at how this dialogue can help us. And this is what we call collective social. So in collective social, we're talking about meaningful or positive relationships in both personal and work, as this goes a long way towards long-term happiness. And I talked about this in relation to the work-life balance. A lot of debate has gone on about the work-life balance, that truly does it exist? And the debate continues to go. But for you individually, what does it mean? For you as an individual, what would you do to be able to create a work-life balance? And I'd love to hear your comments on this. How do you see work-life balance just working out in your life? Or how has it worked out before, so that we can help one another on this platform? Well, one way is having your voice heard. So if we are working together in the office, there's a lot of team effort. And because we are of different characteristics, you will find that some of us are extroverts, and therefore when we walk into a room, it is our natural default that we speak up. We've got a plan. We are moving people together. There's a whole movement happening towards the idea that I have. I would sit up to the front. I would be engaging with whoever is speaking. There will be a lot of debate, a lot of positive things going on. However, then there's the introvert, who most probably will be sitting behind and choosing to be quiet. So is there a moderator in between there? Is there a moderator who's able to respect the voice of the extrovert and be able also to give the introvert a voice to speak, a chance to be heard? This is the dialogue. And when we're talking about dialogue, it comes straight in with my mental health. Am I able to come to the office and know that it is a safe place to be, that I can speak freely? The employer has got to be able to provide this for you. A place where you can speak freely. Is it in meetings? Is it in sessions? Is it in the private rooms where we are making our cup of tea? Is it in writing of emails? Is it in communication of suggestion boxes? What is it as an employer that you can provide for the member of staff for their well-being when it comes to their voices being heard? Is it an employee satisfaction survey? I beg your pardon. An employee satisfaction survey, where every so often you just ask the employees to fill out something that is very, yes, personal to them, but then it is private, it is confidential. Nobody knows that they're the ones who filled out that particular feedback form. So you're giving them certain numbers that they can go into a website of sorts and confidentially fill it out. You then receive this feedback and you do something about it. And that way the person feels very protected and their voice has been heard. Because once the voice has been heard in whatever aspect, whether I am going to speak about my mental wellness, whether I'm going to speak about my performance, whether I'm going to speak about the culture of the business, whether I'm going to speak about the environment of my work environment, my voice has been heard. So in these positive relationships, what experience have you had in collective social that has worked? And I will wait for you to post it there. But as you post it, let's look at the team efforts and the bonding. There's a lot of aspects to team efforts that come into play. Because when it comes to team efforts, there's always an objective. The team is working towards a specific objective. And as we're working towards it, we've got different people coming through with different skill. So do we have an opportunity to display each person's skill to help them to upscale and upskill on what it is they have? Are we able to give them some training and development? This is powerful, and next week we'll be looking at training and development with our guest. So feel free to share with us what your thoughts are on collective social. As I mentioned, our guest today, Charity Gishao, is unable to join us, but she will be coming onto the Facebook page to just give us some insights on her thoughts on this topic on well-being, the employee well-being. However, it would not be fair of me if I did not conclude that on collective social, you still need help. You still need assistance, both as an employer and as an employee. Because to be able to start these positive relationships or meaningful relationships, we need a system of feedback. And how is feedback happening? It's appraisals. And when we're looking at appraisals, we are talking about us giving feedback both ways. So the employer is giving feedback to the employee, and the employee is giving feedback to the employer. And there are certain areas that we map out that allow for this feedback process to be seamless, to be fair. So it's a calibration of sorts. It's taking the system and seeing how well it has worked over a certain period. And with those results, we come back and we are able to make changes appropriately, whether it is reinforcing what we already have or whether it is introducing new things. So it would not have been good if I had not put that in right at the end. So let us look at the benefits to the employee, the benefits to the employee of us understanding what this well-being is about. And of the 7 or the 6 areas that we showed up, which was now your job security, your financial security, your physical security, your work-life balance, or your health, whatever it is for you, the benefits of the employer being able to look into this and provide them for you helps you as the employee to have that good mental health. You may wonder, what about physical health? How do we go about that? If there is an awareness of ensuring that the staff are able to do specific hours at work and other hours are spent in the physical building of the body, whether it is in working out, whether it is in healthy eating, there's that awareness. Awareness is so important, guys, and this should not be played down. This is something new in the workforce today. And there are so many opportunities online in case you are lost and you don't know how to proceed with this. If you Google them, no matter how big your company is, there's always a solution for your company. The other benefit is better relationships, because once your staff have better relationships, the work is moving. It does not mean that in these better relationships, we don't have devil's advocate systems in there where we are questioning. But as long as we've got targets, we are able to respond to them with better relationships. So do I want to wake up and come to work today? I would hope the answer would be yes, because I'm looking forward to interacting with my fellow team members. So both of us have responsibility, both the employer and the employee, towards this well-being. This then converts into energy and productivity. The employer would be very happy with the productivity, because this then in turn makes sure that I have my job security, what we started out with. Another reason for me to come to work. I can only talk good things about the employer now because I can see that because of the work that I am putting in, there's more productivity for the company, and the company is able to enumerate me fairly, give me my benefits fairly, provide me with a work environment that is amazing. Mushko, you've come back and said, being firm about my appreciation of work-life balance and letting my colleagues know of this example, letting my team know that we should try to keep our meetings within the office hours and only limit emergency calls that cannot absolutely, I beg your pardon, that cannot absolutely wait to be dealt with the following day. Very true. Boundaries, Mushko. So as we create boundaries as individuals within the team setting, already these are ways of managing our work environment. This is contributing towards our work and our mental wellness. Why? Because there is rest. We need to rest. And I believe this is what Mushko is alluding to, that there needs to be rest. And everybody needs to respect this. Kavi is talking about building trust. Yes, as we are building better relationships, we are building trust. Because then I know, we talked about dialogue a few minutes ago. When dialogue is happening, there needs to be a part of stress in there. That aspect of I beg your pardon, the aspect of trust is very important. Because when there is trust, then I'm willingly opening up and I'm sharing. And this contributes to better relationships. I am happy. And then it's a whole big wheel. The company becomes more profitable because I, as the employee, I am more productive. And this improves my job performance, that I can look forward to any appraisal. I can look forward to feedback. And if feedback does not exist, I can ask for it because I'm coming from a place of trust, of peace about this environment. And even as the employer, in the corporate culture, as you're putting together your corporate culture, and you're also looking at your purpose and your vision and your mission and your values, all this is incorporated in it. And perhaps you're talking about transparency, you're talking about trust as your values. You need to go a step further and break it down. What does that mean in the everyday operations of your office? So maybe you're a two-man show in your business and you're talking about transparency. What does that mean in your company? It should not be any different from what it means in a bigger company, in a Fortune 500 company. There should not be any difference at all because transparency is transparency. The only thing is perhaps in the two-man group, it will grow bigger according to the tasks that are there in the company, according to your corporate culture. Thank you so much for sharing. Welcome, Sunita. Good to see you here. What are the benefits of adopting a well-being approach? You as an employer. I think I love the fact that the employer reputation grows. Once you adopt a well-being approach, it grows. In that interview process that we were speaking of last week, people are more likely to want to join your employment because of your reputation. So what is it about your reputation that you want to be known out there? And begin to work backwards. List it down and begin to work backwards. Incorporate it into your culture, into your purpose, which is your vision and your mission. Incorporate it into your values. Incorporate it into your standards of procedure. As an employer, what reputation do you want out there? And then live it. And you've got to set the example from the top to the point where when there is an exit going on, the support that you are giving during the separation, again, because usually the experience that you have with a company all boils down to the day that you're leaving. How did they make you feel? So you as an employer, you've got to ensure that that day of exit, how you are treating this member of staff is going to buy you more mileage. So just thinking back, it's amazing how something as simple as an employer reputation can affect the entire corporate culture. So the other benefits are that there's increased staff commitment and productivity. The staff become your ambassadors, guys. They are speaking of this company as though they own it because there's that ownership. They are working as though it's what they own. That means the leadership is on point. Being able to help people to work selflessly at a place of work, willingly at a place of work is a skill for a leader. You end up having a resilient workforce because irrespective of what happens with the environment out there, they stick together as a company and they look for solutions within because you have allowed for their voice to be heard. There will be reduced sick leave. Reduced absenteeism, because you find people are absent for whatever reason. I don't want to wake up today and come to work. I'd rather be doing something else. But then you are that employer who ensures that whatever you have in place is well-being, employee well-being. You make it a pillar when it comes to your corporate culture. And you have better employee retention. Never been to one of those places where we just have staff who've been there for so many years. It's not because they don't have another place to go. It's because they have found their purpose is aligned with that of the company. And therefore, this is where they belong. They have no reason to leave. Those employees, I am sure they are being heard. And those employees also have ownership for the company. Everyone has a responsibility to foster well-being. Everybody. So whether you're an employer or you are an employee. As we come to the end of our session today, we're looking at Catherine Giroux has joined us. Great to see you, Catherine. Akabi says, workplace appears seamless. I get it. So the workplace appears seamless. Definitely, yes. With the corporate culture, the correct corporate culture in place. And whatever conflict happens, because conflict is also healthy, stress is healthy. We have got coping mechanisms, we've got tools that we can be able to manage it and bring everything to the table that we can deal with. You know, if you are working in a place where, even in your relationships, where everything is just smooth, there's no ruffles in the water, then there's something wrong. That means under that smooth, calm layer, there's a lot of things that are happening below that one day it is going to explode. So having those safe places where we can talk, where management or the employer ensures that these places exist, allow for a seamless workplace. Operations happen seamlessly, and not seamlessly that things will not go wrong. Things will go wrong, but we know how to manage them. We've got things, manuals like crisis management manuals. They're there, not because we wish for things to go wrong, no, because we are prepared. The preparedness is very important. So yes, as we come to the end here, we have got Catherine Giroux there. Right, I don't see anybody else with any questions or any comment. Our question in the beginning was, which one is the pillar for you? Which is the pillar that resonates with you? And I gave the example of job security. But I also was very categorical in saying that today, that pillar that speaks and takes the cup is the mental wellness. What are you doing about enforcing mental wellness in whichever area that you're in, whether you're coming as an employee or you're coming as an employer? So that was the question today. And do you ask about it in your interview? The conversation continues even after this session today. As mentioned, Catherine Gashau, who is an HR professional, will be joining us on the chat, and she'll be answering or contributing to your statements or your contributions as you see fit to have shared with us today. I want to thank you so much for taking part with us. And let's see if anybody has commented so far. So no comments for now. And as always, we always end with a takeaway. So what are the takeaways here? The first one is be proactive. Get involved with well-being initiatives. So whether you're an employee or an employer, ensure that wherever it is you are, there's well-being initiatives. And in these well-being initiatives, make sure that they cover those areas of job security, of mental wellness and physical wellness and physical protection, takes care of work-life balance, takes care of the work environment. Make sure that this well-being takes care of those areas. Feedback. Feedback is your number 2 takeaway. Make feedback happen. So you as an employee, you need to feed back. You need to create a space where you can do this. This is towards your happiness. So if it doesn't exist, use the opportunity to come in there and make the suggestions. Maybe it is during your appraisals, and that could be the only opportunity that you can speak. So build up on the dialogue. feedback, feedback, feedback. And then the one that I love is gratitude. We need to exercise gratitude. A lot of work goes into getting us into a work environment, and we need to be grateful for the milestones that have been reached. It is very important that we do this, we recognize it, and we call it as it is. Because even the employer, when they're looking at their reputation, they have an ego. And this ego would like to be told, you're doing a good thing, thank you. So you need to have that attitude of gratitude. So be proactive, ensure that you're making feedback happen and have an attitude of gratitude. Before we end, Muchko says, many thanks for an insightful session. Be proactive. Tell my story are my takeaways. Asante sana, Muchko. It was good to have you here. I do hope that you have liked our page and that you can be able to go onto our website for more of our services. This week, we are on Awakening Self. It's a sold-out program. It's a 5-day program where we give you 5 tools to help you improve you. And as we come to the end of September, we'll be opening October with our free masterclass called Unearth the Creator in You. And just look out on our social media platforms for the updates. So remember to like our Facebook page and to receive regular updates. Well, today's topic was that. It was about employee well-being, and we can see how job security, though important, has other complementary pillars such as health of the employee and relationships in the workplace that we need to build up. So let's take care of our employees and they will take care of our business, is something that Richard Branson was very famous for saying. Next week, we look at training and development as we continue with our September theme of managing the HR performance, and that will bring us to the end. Also, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that notification button so that you can be able to get updates on what it is we are doing. Until next week, be kind to yourselves. Bye-bye now.